All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Beyond the Arc podcast. We got a special guest today. We have Ethan Taylor, guard from Air Force, who's soon graduating and will be, entering to the NBA draft. Ethan, thanks for coming on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, you've been a standout at Air Force for the past couple of years. Had a really, really great senior season in terms of your individual play. Air Force obviously it's a very different environment to play college basketball than pretty much anywhere else in the country. So yeah, you want to speak a little bit to that? How was that experience just playing at Air Force these past couple of years?
It's definitely challenging playing at Air Force. We have different stipulations and things we have to endure that other college athletes are don't really have to go through. But I mean, I wouldn't use it as an excuse. I've enjoyed my time playing here. I thought that the way we did things here and the people that I've met have really helped shape me as a person, as also as a basketball player. It's a very unique experience, and a lot of people already kind of know that from the outside. But I'm truly grateful to be able to have done the things I've done at this academy, and still have a good time playing basketball regardless of the outcomes that we had.
Yeah, definitely. I guess I mean, what are some of those biggest differences that I guess you may have faced compared to other college players in the United States?
Yeah, I mean, it's simple things like wake up times. We have different military wake up times, just different commitments. We don't get a chance at our school to do two a days or different skill development workouts just because of like the time constraint that you have. We have class all morning, then lunch, and then you kind of have this like 2 to 3 hour block in the afternoon where you can really get it in season. So I think just that like time constraint was a huge separator for us, and we put in a lot of work, and guys get in obviously by themselves and try to get shots up and stuff. But it's just different when you don't have that coach or that separated time to get different skills done, and just as well as like just things we have to do on the weekends. Military things that I can't really get into, but it's like those things are difference makers when it comes to being a basketball player.
Yeah, I guess what are some of those big lessons that you've learned from your time at Air Force for yourself personally?
Oh man, the biggest lesson I would say I learned is, run your race. I think that a lot of people, especially nowadays, get caught up in the hype of Instagram and the transfer portal and seeing what everybody else is doing, everybody else is at. Something being an Air Force is really humbling is that run your race. I've really bought into who I was as a player and what my coaches really instilled in me. And I think that some guys sometimes it's easy to get sidetracked and think about the other stuff that could be happening at other schools or the other opportunities you could be playing in different sets, and maybe you can get more shots here and do all that. But I think the most important thing is like learning to be comfortable with who you are as a player and as a person, and that's something I learned. And another thing that I learned is just be humble. It's really easy at other schools to flaunt and all that, da 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 da. But when you're here, you really have to like grind and have a chip on your shoulder and internalize the player you really want to be. So I think those are two big lessons that I learned here.
Yeah, yeah, and even just small stuff too. Like you can't like you're talking about social media and like Instagram. Like you can't even really be doing all that stuff on social media when you're at the Air Force. Like
Uh,
when we were setting this up, Eric was like, "Oh yeah, don't expect him to get back to you super fast because there's only a certain time of day he can actually like use his phone and respond to you." So
yeah.
yeah, so that's different over there. Yeah, I guess in terms of the basketball side of things, I guess how have you developed yourself, would you say, over these past 4 years in terms of when you came to the Air as a freshman, how are you as a player till now, 4 years later?
I think coming into the academy, I think I've always kind of had a knack for, playmaking and, having a high IQ. And I think Air Force Academy only elevated that. I will say, I think I really developed myself as someone who can make shots and, make different reads and as well as, play a little bit of defense. Obviously, my finishing kind of changed being here just due to the sets and stuff, but, in workouts and stuff, I've been working on that. But I think the biggest change in my game has definitely been my shooting ability coming in. I feel like coming in, I was more of a playmaker, IQ, just reading the game, point guard, and Air Force kind of transitioned me into a combo guard where I felt really comfortable at, being able to make shots and down the stretch and still have that playmaking and space creating ability on the floor.
Okay, so that's interesting. So you were a playmaker first coming in. That shooting came later because I mean, if you watch you now, obviously you got up 255 3-point attempts last year on 30 about 37% shooting. So obviously that's crazy high volume. I guess you talked about earlier with the limited practice. Like, how are you able to kind of develop that part of your game um, while there?
Like I said earlier, it's really just internalizing the player you want to be. And I got a lot of extra time in with the coaches, staying late after practice, coming in early, and just focusing on those things during practice. You don't really have time here to mess around and do different things. So, when it's time to get in the gym, it was just go time for me. That's kind of the mindset that I had. I had to be the best player every single day if I wanted to, showcase my abilities and help my team win. And one of the biggest steps that Coach Scott kind of instilled on me once I got here, he was like, "You got to be able to make shots for us down the stretch." And I really took that to heart, and I busted my butt to be that type of player for us.
Yeah, definitely. You alluded to a little bit ago, but about the kind of the sets that you guys run. Just for someone who maybe hasn't seen you guys play, what is your guys' like offensively? What does that kind of look like for you guys for someone who may not seen?
Yeah. We play a very passive Princeton offense. We try to run sets to get guys open as opposed to like, different schools. They might have like a maybe one or two or three or four kind of sets, and then they kind of let their guys play. Here we take a more structured approach. Princeton, we run a lot of chin, a lot of point, so it's very structured, a lot of backdoor cuts, and that's just kind of the team that our coach wanted us to be. Very methodical in the way we played, just out stamina, out work the other team and whittle them down little by little, as opposed to turning it into a slugfest.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, and then you talked about your scoring and playmaking. Like, how are you kind of able to balance those two parts of your game offensively? Throughout the season.
As the season goes on, guys obviously watch film and people kind of figure out who you are, and I think that the things that the things that I've learned here and that the coaches have taught me, on top of the playmaking ability that I already had, is just kind of knowing when it's your time. I've never been a player that's just gonna try to just go force a bucket or force this and force that. And I think that's really helped me in my career. Is just being able to kind of fill out the game, let the game come to me, and shoot the shots that my team needs me to shoot, as well as make the right play at the right time. And that's what I hang my hat on, is just being able to be that player that my team needs me to be.
Yeah. And then yeah, I mean, talking about the defensive, and obviously, if you're trying to play at the next level for you, that defensively, that's going to be, a big area you're going to have to focus in on if you don't have the ball in your hands as much. I guess defensively, how would you describe yourself as a defender, and what you kind of do on that end?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely try to have a lot of active hands. I'm not the fastest guy and I don't jump the highest, but I think one way that I'm able to impact the game defensively is I have active hands and I kind of have a knack for reading what the offensive player is going to do kind of before they do it. I think that my length at my position and my ability to kind of think the game has really helped me defensively. Get hands on balls and poke stuff out of the post and doing different stuff like that. And obviously, I'm working on that in summer. Got to elevate that to a professional level. But that's kind of where my mind's at, is just keeping having active hands, active feet, and kind of be like a TJ McConnell guy, just a pest at all times, because that's what it takes to win games.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, 152 steals throughout your career, 50 last year. Yeah, when I was watching some of your, defensive clips, I think that stood out. Just how active you were in regards to your hands. Yeah. Anything else about you as a player that you may have not hit on already?
Nah, I think we got all the stuff I want to talk about.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, now we're gonna do a little bit of some film breakdown here. Got I think about 11 clips, offense and defensively, a mix of different things. So yeah, first we're gonna start with your with you on the scoring side. I'll just play the clip in full, and then yeah, you can let me know kind of what you see. So yeah, this is that Princeton chin offense you're talking about, and you're able to make a read off a screen. What do you kind of see here for yourself?
Yeah, as a this game has just started, but as the season goes on, I hear guys, they have different names for it, but they basically calling out shooter. And when I come up, if you rolled it back, when I come up to make the chin pass, I notice that the guy's bumping into me, meaning that he doesn't want me to get a shot off. So
Hmm.
when our center comes up to set the chin pick, that's when I knew. Once I see him go inside, I know I have him, because he's so worried about bumping me early that he can't
Oops.
stop me from coming off the chin screen.
Yeah, I feel like this was a common move by you a lot because obviously Princeton it's just such a continuous offense that defenders eventually they'll kind of get in the flow of it. You're gonna backdoor, but then you flip it around and create that open look for yourself. And then yeah, talking about your shot, I mean, what were some of the things that you improved? I'll move to the next clip. It's another shooting clip after this, but yeah, what are some of the things that you improved with your shot that allowed you to get 255 threes up and make them at a very high clip?
I think just having hot hands is what my coach calls it. Having being able to just be ready when the ball's coming and being ready to shoot. I think I struggled with that earlier on my freshman and sophomore year. It's kind of being surprised the ball was coming, but even in that clip right there, I'm meeting the ball early, ready to shoot, and I think that's something that's helped me. And some things that I'm working on right now is having my feet ready as well. That's something I struggle with too. But having hands and feet ready is just the most important thing when getting shots up.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. I thought the next clip was a shooting clip. It's actually a playmaking clip from you. You guys
Oh.
get to the post and little split cut. You slip it, then you make that extra read. Yeah, I mean, where did you kind of get that playmaking ability? From just as a player, like growing up.
Yeah, no. I would definitely say playing with my older brother. I have an older brother who's 6 years older than me. So playing with him and his friends, you kind of got to be aware at all times where everybody's at. You don't want to get run over your shot blocks. Just like in this play right here, I know that they're switching. So if I have them beat, but if that guy's meet me at the rim, that means my guy's open in the corner. So it's kind of just being able to kind of know the options before I even get into the play, and being able to just kind of have that wide vision and seeing the court early.
Yeah. In this one, like I feel like this was such an instinctual pass from you because,
Yeah.
right, you make the split cut and you see like you don't even like I don't really see you turn your head to see oh he's open like you see the defender slide over oh he's open you just whip it over
Yeah.
there. Like you didn't even really need to really see and process that your guy was in the corner open to make that pass. You just knew it based on just feel for the game. So obviously for me
Yeah.
when I'm looking at guys in scouting like that's a sign of a high level passer if they're able to kind of skip steps mentally in a way and like process things at a really high level. Yeah, we can move to this clip. Another shooting clip here. I think in this case too, Miles Bird is guarding this. He's a player that's probably going to get drafted this upcoming year, and you had him on you. Yeah, talk about maybe this action, and then once again, kind of getting into your shot, which was a huge weapon for you this year.
Yeah. One thing that we really try to emphasize, especially for me, Steph Curry does it a lot too. Not saying I'm Steph Curry, but when you're setting screens, a lot of guys want the shot, but I try to do a really good job here of hitting my guys man because then I know that they have to react in one way or the other. And once we get this switch, I know the center's coming to get me. So it really just starts off with that screen and being a team player here off the inbounds play and setting a good enough screen to get them to make a read. Because if I didn't touch anybody, then they would have just stayed and nothing would happen.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, Steph Curry obviously uses that to get open for
Yeah,
himself all the time, and especially right now in the NBA, a lot of teams are branching out to have their guards be more and more like screening action, them as the screener, maybe on like a big or something. If you have like a Jokic or Giannis or something, bigger
yeah,
playmakers and try to get that switch. But if they both go to him, you're going to be open for three. Yeah, let's take a look at this one. I think so this is like a self creation clip.
yeah.
Late shot clock situation. I know you didn't get a ton of these type of opportunities just because the way you guys are running your offense. So late shot clock is a time that you had to kind of self create a little bit. How would you kind of assess your ability to do that at this kind of current stage in your development?
I think I've always been able to kind of get what I want, especially when guys who I think are bigger and I can beat, or they're smaller and I think I can get around. I think I've always had to be able to ability to create space. And in this moment right here, I see that they have their four-man guarding me, so I know I want to get him down. And then once I get him down there, he did a good job of cutting me off, and I saw the shot clock was really low. So I just really wanted to get him a little shake because I've worked on that post fade shot a lot in my career.
Yeah,
Able to
that's
get it
like
up and in.
yeah. So that's a kind of like a little bit of a go to because yeah, this looks really comfortable,
Yeah,
obviously for you. The way you
yeah,
pull that out. Yeah. Okay. Good to know. Okay, we can go to the next clip here. I think this is another self creation. Yeah, this one was obviously obviously you don't want to be taking a step back this far, but
yeah,
it was kind of a weird situation. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean obviously at the next level, the way teams are playing. At times, guys are going to be able to need to create their own shot off the dribble. Um, yeah, so I thought this was just kind of a fun clip. I don't know if you have anything else to add about that side of your game.
Uh, oh yeah, nah. I just that's something I really worked on in preparation for this year, being able to get shots threes up in particular off the dribble, and especially in quick situations like that. Just because of the way we play, teams kind of figure out the Princeton offense sometimes. So I knew it was up to me to, be able to make something happen in those moments.
Yeah, let's see what we got next here. Oh yeah, another self creation clip off the pick and roll. Creating that space with the step back. Yeah, how do you feel kind of just like playing out a pick and roll, making reads as a passer, scorer, all of that?
Yeah, I love pick and roll. It's actually my favorite thing, probably, just because I think I'm so comfortable in it, especially when I have a big man that can get down in the space. And in this clip, our big man really does a good job of getting down there and making him make a decision. And I was able to just get the shot that I wanted at that moment.
Yeah. All right. All right. Yeah, I think okay, here we go. Yeah, we're looking at your defense now. Let me go back to this previous one. Yeah, so you're just kind of making a play right here. They're running a set, and you kind of see what's happening and blow this play up. Yeah, talking about maybe your mentality and approach defensively, because obviously I think one thing with you played the sixth most highest minutes in the country. You played 1,168 minutes, playing almost a full game at times. How are you kind of able to stay in it defensively while also still carrying that high minute load?
Yeah. One thing that my coach has talked about ever since I got to the school was like it really doesn't matter how tired you are. As long as your hands are moving, I mean, your body's there anyway, so you might as well, get your hand in the mix or, step over that screen or do the one extra thing. So that's one thing I really try to take pride in defensively is really being able to get my hands in the, different actions and, make it hard for guys to make plays.
Yeah, sure. I think next one here is a steal clip as well. Um, oh yeah, pick and roll. Kind of, you guys kind of switch it. Now the guy's trying to fight for post position. Good physical fight. You get him out to the free throw line. Now he's in a tough spot. Um, and then yeah, you're able to get the strip. So a little bit of your versatility here off, not even just your on ball defense, but also off the ball, kind of making a play here. But yeah, I mean, how do you feel? I mean, you do some switching here, and then getting your hands on the ball. I guess yeah. Talk a little about this play. What
Yeah.
this kind of shows for you as a player.
Yeah, so we had two guards in the screen, so I knew I'd have to switch with the big guy. And the main thing going through my head was like, I mean, that's a big guy, and he was pretty strong. So my main thing was like, don't give him anything easy, and just make him pick it up. He wasn't that skilled. If I remember the scouting report correctly, I just didn't want him to catch it too deep. So right here, I tried to make him push him up higher, which I think I did a good job of. And then at this moment, it was just don't foul and nothing easy. And then once he was able to make that pass, I just knew I had to get my hand somewhere in there because it was already congested. It would already been a tough layup for him to make. So just wanted to get my hands in there and make it even tougher for him.
Yeah, that's Neek Clifford right there, right? The Colorado State.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, okay.
sneak.
Um, yep, another high level guy. Um, but yeah, obviously I think this is something you could do. A little bit of switching at times, and you're still able to make an impact even if you're not on the ball necessarily to get steals. So um, that's definitely a plus. Yeah, here and then able to get a block on a D-Dan Thomas, another high level player as well. Yeah, what you kind of see on this one here?
Yeah. First, one thing I'm trying to work on, especially right now, is sliding more horizontal. Don't let that drive come so easily. But that's one thing I think I have a pro on is my size at my position. If smaller guys, I'm able to wall up and get shots at the top as opposed to always having to swipe down. That's the one thing I think I have an ability to affect at the next level is just being able to use my length at my position.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, I mean, I think you do a good job of here, kind of staying with him and not letting him just get a full step on you, and then he tries to do a little bit of like a slow step bump to create space, but you're able to stay attached and meet him up top.
Yep.
Yeah, let's see what this one. Yeah, oh, this is an assist, I believe. Yep. Yeah, that was a nice little no look dump off pass to the rolling big man empty corner. Um, but yeah, what did you kind of see here?
Oh, yeah. Once I beat my guy off the curl screen, I gave him a little good foot jab. I knew that once he turned around, and I had him beat up the foot screen, he'd be late. And once I saw the big man step up, big guy rolling to the rim, that's easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw when I was watching a lot of your assists, you seem very comfortable making kind of that that dump off pass if you're able to, draw that other defender in the play as well. Um, yeah, and like you said earlier, pick and roll was your favorite play, and I think you were able to make a lot of plays out of that. Yeah, another little dump off pass here. I particularly picked this one because it felt like you used the gravity of your shot. Both defenders like they wanted to get out to you. You see them both freeze for a second here, miscommunication, and you're able to make them pay. Yeah, I guess throughout the season, how did you kind of see teams start to guard you just with your ability to shoot the ball, and how are you able to like, capitalize off that?
Yeah. A lot of teams this year just have to make it tough. I didn't have a face guard or, guys in very close, tight help. And at first it was frustrating, but then, after maturing and realizing that the game, it's not that hard. Once I know that the help's going to come to stop me, big man has to step up. And so I just told my teammates to always be ready because we know how the other team's going to try to guard me and, stop the actions that we have for me.
I think that was it for the film. Was there another area that you felt like? Okay, cool. Um, yeah, anything else that you wanted to talk about, Ethan? In regards to your, your play style, your background, anything else?
I mean, I think we hit on the nose. I think, me being here and the type of player that I've become due to, my background has really helped me to become a playmaking, shot or shooter. As also kind of diving into that 3 and D range. I want to be a lot more efficient on defense and help teams in that aspect. So I really do appreciate this opportunity. Having some film breakdown, that was pretty cool. Seeing some old clips and being able to talk through those. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, yeah, no, that was fun. I mean, when I watched you out when you guys were playing UNLV and you almost had him in that first round matchup in the conference tournament this year. I mean, I thought it just really stood out the way you were able to still create for yourself even within that offense and get up shots at a really high level. At the same time, obviously when you're playing super high minutes like you are, it's hard to stay consistently good on defense. It's there's a lot of fatigue involved there, but I think you obviously have a lot of potential on that end to be a great 3 and D player. And I mean, with that, are there any NBA players that kind of remind yourself of your game that you feel like you could emulate?
Yeah, for sure. Not so much as his ability to shift, but I think Paul George is someone that I've really looked up to in my just time. Paul George, guys, like same with the same kind of people, but like Kawhi Leonard and someone I'm really trying to get my game closer to. Is Kennedy George or Davion Mitchell, guys that can play fast, but also have like a stop and go game, but are also impactful on defense. Those are the guys that I'm trying to emulate my game after and be closer to.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, cool. I don't think I have anything else for you, Ethan. Yeah, appreciate you coming on and good luck with everything in regards to your pre-draft. Congrats on graduating too in about a
Yes,
week. That's
sir.
awesome. Yeah. All right. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.